monster they're playing over there.
Okay, Magnus.
Now
Magnus
F3.
Needs,
wow.
Magnus needs to be wanded. I mean, he's playing computer-esque.
F3 and E4. I mean,
E4.
the players. I mean, jokes aside, there's Magnus is doing no reason to be wanted. He had plenty of time to look at it legally, and probably he did see that this was an engine suggestion and believes in following suit here.
Yeah, only problem I thought connected with F3 was that my bishop was closed. So that's why I thought F4 is more into position's nature.
Right.
But
since the F-bonds got traded, the bishop diagonal opened anyway, right?
Yeah. So
no harm, no foul.
Exactly. I think knight b3 is. I like first knight b3 a lot more because you wait for your opponent. F5, F3, I really like it for white because as in standard chess, you cannot always copy opponent's moves. It will backfire at some point. But Wesley does.
Right. How long can he copycat, Danny?
It's an interesting comment because we saw Hikaru Nakamura yesterday in the chat talking about how difficult it is to trail when you're playing Fischer Random Chess, but especially as black, because sometimes the best approach is in Fischer Random to follow suit for a little while, find some symmetry. But when you don't want to draw, that's hard to do as black. Wesley is okay with a draw.
Oh, are you kidding? Wesley will be ecstatic.
And if we look at the clocks here, let's remind everybody, although we've had 2 days of slow rapid, we are almost already in time pressure in regards to what's on the timer here. But
now, the way I see it, C3, kind of a reluctant move because, for sure, I think everybody and his brother and sister for that matter, would love to play bishop D1 to G4. You're developing a piece, you're eyeballing the king, but the problem is that black setup allows him to play H5, bishop H3, and knight F4, and your light square bishop is getting hunted down. So Magnus played the move C3 with the idea of bishop C2 castles, and he's going to be playing for D4 to break the symmetry. He simply is in a situation in the match where he has to create an imbalance.
Yeah, this is the position where actually Magnus got what he wanted. Not that it's better or there are chances to win already, but you want this type of position.
Oh, absolutely. Mixing it up, no question about it. By the way, bishop G4, bishop G5.
Bishop G5 by Wesley.
I mean, good for the goose, good for the gander type of thing.
Inviting H4 though.
As we just saw in that previous.
Maybe knight F5 also is.
I think Magnus is pausing here to reflect and might go for H4.
He's going to go
okay,
H4.
No, he plays bishop C2,
bishop
continues
C2.
with the plan you said, yes.
Okay. I mean, he's not going to be dissuaded from what he wants to achieve, which is castles, D2, D4, the central pawn duel.
But let's point out that somebody else
king to B1. Sorry.
Has no. I was going to say somebody else can castle right now, and right as I said it, Wesley does it, and Magnus follows suit. So I thought I was going to beat them to the punch and say they can both castle now, and they're too fast. So there you go. They have, and Wesley immediately responded. Is still playing very quickly.
By the way, Wesley's tempo, I mean,
the speed of which he's playing, right,
is remarkable. I mean, as he slowed down his tall.
And that's very annoying for Magnus.
Right.
Very annoying. He's playing so fast. Oh.
And Magnus got up from the board. And
hops up from the board to tell something to the arbiter.
Something is a little bit off.
Either he doesn't like something, or he's.
Yeah, he didn't like something was on the table probably.
Okay.
And
king B1. Okay, tucking the king away. Something that Tony Miles always liked to do is whenever he castled queenside is tuck the king away, bring it to closer to the corner. King B1, and not getting out of this pin. The bishop on G5, pinning the knight on E3. Whoa!
Bishop H5.
I like that move a lot.
Wesley is.
If he induces G4, by the way, then the F4 square is firmly in black's hands. Don't talk about the tactics after bishop takes E3, but very quickly, Magnus said, you can have the tempo. You can have that developing tempo. The bishop on H5 won't bother me when I put the rook on C1. So he answered very quickly, rook C1. You know, the more I think about it, I think if I was in Magnus' shoes, I would have played H4.
Yeah,
earlier just to,
instead of bishop C2.
Yeah, just to force the bishop to declare its intentions.
I'm more like watching the game, and I'm like, oh, I like Wesley's move. Then Magnus makes the move. Oh, I like that too.
Well, we are fans at heart. I mean, that's why we're here. I mean,
They play well.
Robert and I have had many shows like that in the speed chess. You go one way with the other. I love that move. I love that move.
Yeah, that counter is great.
Just because I wanted to play d4, I think my rook on c file actually is better than on d file. I would love to have another one,
Right.
like rook c1, rook d1, but okay, I'm not dreaming yet.
Yeah.
Now he's gone for h4.
Yeah.
Again, forcing a declaration over there, because if you do play bishop h6, and I'm not saying g4 right now is a threat, but
White's
it
'Cause the
hovers
bishop
over the
takes e3.
position.
bishop takes e3.
Yeah, it hovers
and
over the
Wesley
position
actually
that you
does
have
it
to
right
pay
away.
attention. He took on e3,
I'm
and he said, "Okay, well, I'm satisfied that I'll give up the minor exchange to get some squares on the queen side, king side. Let me say.
I was gonna
I
say,
think he
you've got
wants to
G4.
play. Yes, I think he wants to play also queen e8 to g6, and by eliminating the knight, the g2 pawn is vulnerable.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think bishop e3 is very nice move. Bishop h6 I wouldn't go because of knight f5.
Okay, there is also maybe a more concrete problem there with knight f5. Yeah.
And maybe d4 very quickly, but
Yeah,
I
hunting
like
down.
I like how Wesley plays. He's always like, we're thinking in more complicated way to use this or that tempo, and Wesley is like, this is good enough.
This is a very
I don't
concrete
know.
solution, by the way.
I see this totally different than you. I feel
Please,
like this is
please,
great for
Danny,
Magnus from
Really?
a perspective to have a double-edged position that's going to offer long-term Magnus-esque chances. He has the bishop pair imbalance, and even though the tempi has been all about the king side, at some point we're going to see the queen side come into play here.
92,
G4,
92, G4, knight
knight
takes,
g1 because I
or
want knight
knight-
f3.
or knight c1. Either way, you've won an exchange.
Right.
I think Magnus is sacrificing it for some sort of attack, right? I mean, unless you think he just missed knight e2.
No,
No.
he cannot face knight e2.
No way, right?
No. But the way I saw it was a little bit differently. At the start, Danny, we always look at the weaknesses. The weak points are a2 and g2.
Right.
And it's funny how early in the middle game, and it's relatively early, there's a dozen moves, the g2 pawn has
Still a
already
target.
been targeted right out of the box,
Right.
right out of the gate. Rook g1 inviting knight e2, I'm sorry, that's a whole exchange.
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, there's a
I'm
bishop
s-
g5. I'm sorry.
Right.
So knight e2, g4. Knight f1, queen f1.
Yeah, knight g1,
Queen
g1.
Bishop f7, bishop g5. Hello. I can, but in this case, Wesley is happy. Pieces are being traded.
Wesley doesn't go for it. He plays bishop g4. What an interesting move to. Actually, I really like that
I love
move now
that
from
move.
Wesley, exposing the outpost square.
Yeah.
Going to really sink in some control on the light squares. So
Now knight e2 is a threat.
knight e2 is a threat to fork the two rooks even in an even more devastating fashion, everyone, since now g4 is no longer on the table for Magnus. So Carlsen, in fact,
ended up having
immediately has to go with the
capture.
bishop. There goes my hope. I was I was looking for a Magnus
Imbalance,
trump card that he
something.
would use the bishop pair. And okay, he's rattling off moves very quickly. But notice the
Wesley
time though. Wesley's so very comfortable in this time control, and it's why we had it as a worthy daily question yesterday, because this is not something that's new to him. In fact, I would argue he's among the world's most experienced in this time control, which it means a lot, I think.
Not only experience, he's like the MVP.
One of the most successful, right, in the pro chess
I mean,
league,
it's one
so-
thing to say I play a lot of blitz, but it's
Right.
another thing to say I'm like the world's best. You
Right.
know, like.
Right.
No, he's
And by the way, d7, d6, and Wesley has landed on his feet
Wesley
firmly.
has great position.
Great. His rook's on the open file. He has his
F3 square.
fair share of the center. None of his pieces are bad, and a safe king. I mean, and that's all you can ask for out of the opening. Give Wesley moves to play queen e7 and rook f8, and suddenly it's like, who's playing for a win?
Right.
And Magnus didn't play anything a little bit. I can't double. C3, I think, was an attempt to unbalance what
Yeah.
was an even game, but
Well, I think
Wow,
you hit the
that
nail
move
on the head
bishop
when you
G4
said
was
that
great.
it's quite possible that H4 earlier, after the move bishop to G5,
Maybe that
right
had
away
to be
might have
played
been
right
the opportunity
away.
for more of an initiative, right?
Right, just to avoid this bishop to F7 to H5 business, yeah.
Right. And
But okay, having said that, it was a very subtle mistake,
Right.
even if we're not sure yet it was a mistake.
Right.
But it was a very subtle one because right now I'm looking at a position where I prefer black.
Yeah, totally. And I
Okay.
want my pawns back. I want pawn H2, pawn G2.
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
it's pretty close to level, but I guess I'm looking at the fact that Wesley is also up 2.5 minutes. And I can't argue that black has had no problems after the first stage of things.
Okay.
This looks, other than these awkward
So-
knights, it looks very close to a regular E4, E5 sort of classical chess game of some kind. But again,
Okay.
black has established really good control over the white squares.
And give me a plan for white. Give me a plan for white.
They don't pay me enough to do that.
Okay, sorry.
Sopico can give you a
Okay,
plan for
so
white.
you want to
Sopico,
play
you give a plan
D5,
for white.
C4, C5.
You always
Yep.
give me the hardest job.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I see two plans for black. I see Queen A4, Rook F8. I see Queen E7, Rook D8, F8. And I'm thinking in either case, I've got command of the open F file.
Yeah, the queen can also
and-
come here and rook DF8.
And I'm a happy camper.
So
with
what do
these.
you think white should do here, Sopico?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'll try. Knight
Please.
A5.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
It's not my move. He played. I didn't even see he played King A1. That's why. So
Okay, Knight A5.
Okay.
I wanted to play B4, but that doesn't make sense because I'm giving up A4 square. There's nothing I can do about it.
Okay.
So
Right.
maybe I can somehow close maybe the center with D5, C4, C5, Queen B4.
Okay.
Something
see, this
like
is why we
that.
pay you the big bucks. I think that's a great plan right there.
And I will counter that by saying, yeah, I like grabbing space, D5, C4. But while you're doing that, I'm a bishop whisperer.
I
Now,
don't like
how does your bishop on D3 feel? The moment you've played those two
We
moves.
don't worry about our bishops here.
We don't
think
worry.
about
The
checkmate. So
bishops take care of themselves.
I would say the biggest issue is probably just the most straightforward kind of approach you said, Yaz, where you almost ignore it. You put a knight on F8, so to speak, for the queen side and infiltrate.
Away we go.
But maybe I'm getting here.
No, C5
Well,
I will play.
I would have preferred knight B6 to D7.
Okay, to hold C5
just to,
back a little bit. But
I'm into,
C5
yeah,
anyway?
Right.
yeah.
so,
right.
I mean, this Magnus is
And
getting
then we
some play
trade
here.
everything, and then it's like my bishop versus your bishop, and I win. I win.
Trade everything, and
And
it's
rook
my
F2.
bishop versus your bishop. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
he played
queen
D5, by the way.
C3,
Yes.
pawn is on D5.
Magnus
Okay.
going for the attack.
He's listening to me.
Oh, look at that! Oh, he's done it.
You
He's done
found the
it.
plan. Whether it
Right.
works out or not, I'm happy to see this because I think White has chances here, and I think Magnus is going to create an opportunity for Wesley to maybe go wrong, which it's the fastest they've played so far in their match. Slow rapid is yesterday.
I see that Wesley has a really, really simple plan in front of him. He could actually go knight D7 or knight A4. I think both are interchangeable moves. C4.
You're just going to put a knight on C5.
You
dirty
know
dog.
it.
You're just going to shut
I'm
down
going
everything.
to just shut the position down with
and
knight
just to
C5.
show everyone, the main point is positionally now, not
Look
only
at-
is the attack gone, but this is what we call a Franken pawn.
Franken
An
pawn.
overgrown pawn.
Can
and
I
he
play bishop
stopped.
B5
He
instead
actually played
So
rook
is even-
F3.
Oh, bishop E2, rook E3.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Oh, what a move. The point is,
But
You're
you
nasty pin. There's no bishop takes G4 check.
yeah, the king's
That's-
on B8.
Yeah, that's why king B8.
But I will play bishop B5 first.
Okay.
Like right now,
Where did he go actually?
to B1.
To
Went
B1.
to B1.
bishop B5 would
I wanted
induce
to provoke.
A6.
Yeah, I wanted to provoke A6 and then play bishop F1.
Interesting.
That's fun.
I don't know, but maybe knight A5, then at some
bishop
point
takes
bishop
A6,
A6,
And
or
you're-
C4, C5, because
Some happiness there,
knight
maybe.
D7, I don't know, knight D7 and C4, maybe knight C5 take B4. I don't like it.
No.
I don't say that I like it.
But it is
Magnus
tricks.
felt
But yeah.
Magnus felt that he had to put his bishop defensively
Out of the
minded.
way.
And by the way, that game that was like the French game, it was
Yeah,
game
yeah.
4,
Yeah.
where we really criticized Magnus for playing passively bishop d7. He could have played f6 and bishop
Right.
g6.
Right.
He really went passive in that game. The move bishop
I knew
d1.
this
It's
reminds you a
feels
little bit of that. I
You
think
need this bishop on this side.
passive.
Knight c4, rook f2.
Yeah.
I will say,
These are
other than the
passive
time, by the way, look at the
moves.
crowd. I mean, standing room
Wow.
only. You just have to
Yeah.
appreciate where we are. Yasser and I had experiences yesterday of just a random person coming up and asking me
Like-
whether I thought Magnus had a chance to come back in the match.
Yeah.
And just the fans, it was amazing just to be in the environment. So shout out to all the fans who showed up today.
Great feeling.
And
Absolutely.
even if it doesn't quite go the way of the Norwegian hero.
For a moment there, I thought that Wesley was going to play the move knight c4 to just kind of occupy and slow down the move c4.
But here he's
Yeah.
got your idea in mind. He's coming to c5.
Okay, and Magnus has just played queen b4. Okay, he's looking at knight a5, c5 ideas.
For
Sopokov's
sure,
plan.
for sure, he does.
This is. I mean, he's generating some kind of counterplay. The real question is, I thought he was about to play
Knight
b6,
A5.
and he does.
Yeah.
I was
So
about
the question is, can you get away with this despite the knight coming into the light squares? I guess it's.
Well,
Maybe c5 now. Because knight a5, knight c5. If I allow knight c5, then that's it.
Yeah, even this check just to show without firepower
Does
to.
not give anything. Even king b7
Yeah,
and
'cause
a6 if you.
Yeah, if check again, you go here.
Also, I'm
And
okay
you're-
with draw.
Okay. Oh, good point. I forgot about the match situation. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Wesley is kind of playing with house money at this point.
Maybe c5 now.
Okay, c5, and this is where I think we trade everything.
Well,
on
what about
c5.
this move and take with the knight?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a wonderful.
That's
exchange
an exchange
sacrifice.
sec worthy of Tigran Petrosian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your favorite, right?
yeah.
I
But
mean, this
maybe
is
still
shut
I
down
can
the studio.
have a bit of hope, like queen c4, b4.
Queen c4, a5. Yeah.
Yeah,
c4,
a5.
Always try to maintain that knight on c5 as long as we can.
That's
But here you have rook f1, and that's a little bit annoying.
Right.
Because you've fortified that
Right.
f1
You're
square.
going to grab the only open file on the board, which is more
That's
valuable
huge.
because it's the only
Yeah.
open file.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now
so
it's clear black is playing for draw.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that after c5, which we think is more or less the best, I'll go knight c5, knight c5, dc5, rook takes c5, rook f1. And I'll just try to shut you down this way. And now we kind of understand why Magnus played the move bishop b1. But again, it's not like
to hold the back rank.
he's doing anything really wonderful for.
But still, maybe I can take rook c3. I have d6 in mind, or queen c4, rook a3, queen a6 very fast.
So
I'm
rook,
dreaming, I know, but
just don't. Yeah.
still.
Yeah, we don't want to get caught on the background. So rook f1,
I
queen
would
f1,
say
rook c3
yeah.
with the idea of d5, d6, or maybe queen e7
Yes,
and going on the attack.
Yeah.
The bishop on b1 is doing
great job.
defensive work. And Supiko is saying queen e7, d6. Magnus fans can still rejoice there.
And rejoice, there is counterplay.
There
Yeah,
is
now
counterplay.
bishop on g4 is kind of out of
Awkward in the
game.
line.
A little bit. A little bit. You want that case? You want to put it back on c8, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest thing I think we have to draw attention to is the clock, though, and here we see the camera work being nicely done by our partners at NRK. Thank you so much for the amazing feed. But that's a shot right there that has Magnus fans nervous. He's almost under 3.5 minutes, and we're about to reach
Behind.
the most complicated part of the game.
And he's played knight a5, by the way. He didn't go. We kind of disdainfully rejected knight a5 because we thought it was a leap to nowhere, actually. We thought knight c5, knight
Yeah.
c6 check, king b7, and the desirable queen a3, so you could play b4, queen a7 mate, as met by rook takes queen.
I have-
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
I have a feeling that this is not the player who forgot what happened yesterday and what is the match situation. He's
got the
still,
Halloween ghosts of
yeah.
opportunities lost, as Jonathan Tisdale wrote.
Because, I mean, knight c6, it's a beautiful piece, but
Yeah.
actually
it's not enough
not
It's one of those
supporters.
things nicer to
Yeah.
look at than it
Yeah.
actually is useful here because
And knight
Right.
c5 is even better because then you cannot do anything with the queen. Queen a3 is not possible. Queen a4 is not possible. How do you want to attack me? Probably you have to go back with the queen and play b4.
I'm thinking about rook c3 with the intention of queen a3, but I'm thinking rook c3, bishop d7, and you're just saying, get out of Dodge, dude. I mean, that knight on c6 is being undermined, and there's just not enough firepower to work with here for white.
I think we will see perpetual. Magnus is also thinking. He takes a lot of time.
I'm
I
wondering
don't
how
think he
white
can
is
afford
bailing out here.
to do that. I mean,
I think, well,
But either it ends now or he has one more game.
is it really that bad?
it's really bad. I think white overextended. I much preferred the lines, Pico, you were mentioning with c5, at least in that.
Back in this position
Yeah.
right here, c5.
At least in this case, after everything got traded, you've got ambitions of utilizing the pawn on d5 with d6, as you mentioned, or maybe the c file.
Yeah, I wonder if he was more worried about the exchange sec. Maybe we played that too quickly, but it felt good the first time, and then we kind of lost
Moved
it on the
away,
F file. But
okay.
we've seen now a couple more moves.
What has happened, in fact?
Yeah.
Oh wait, we are seeing a draw.
Magna-
in
no.
fact.
Perpetual. Yes.
Wow, they have agreed to a draw. Magnus keeps his World Fischer Random Chess Championship hopes alive with that by not letting the
One more
position get too far
game.
away.
Yeah.
But again, kudos to Wesley So. He's put himself in a position,
Wow.
All he needs is any result,
any result, and he is
and
inching his
he
way
is
toward
the first official FIDE Fischer Random Chess World
according to
Champion.
our amazing team behind the scenes here, our producer sharing with us that not a bad match result, obviously, for Wesley So, but you guys were both right. Black is actually up almost 3.5 points in this position.
Yeah, it's
So-
huge.
So Black's advantage. Now, explain it before we go to the other game. And again, everyone, there is a Nepomniachtchi versus Caruana match
Bronze
going on.
medal.
We will have chess today. Don't go anywhere.
You're right.
But so let's say Black doesn't want to repeat with King B7. What move do you play here to
Bishop
play for
D7
a win? Just
instantly.
Bishop D7 and go get the knight.
Get rid of it. Strategic chess is very simple. Find your opponent's best piece, eliminate it. What is white's best piece? Looking around, not the rook on g1, not the bishop on b1. Oh, I know, the knight on c6.
Okay, well then let me ask you this:
eliminate it.
if it's that winning for Black, and we will get to the other game here, is it possible Wesley took that draw? You can hardly blame him again for the match situation, but do you regret it when you go look at the engine right now, Sopakot? Is that a hangover effect? Does he look at the engine and go, wait,
No, because
I was winning?
He knew that he was winning,
Okay.
and he knew that it is good. But he thought, okay, I mean, I'm fine with the draw. But I think once again, it's about personality. Like, he's fine with the draw, and he's fine to end it, the game, and he's ready to play one more game. But there are players. Probably Magnus wouldn't accept draw, and he would go bishop d7 and end the match.
And that's my point. And again, of course, there is very hard. I'm doing my best to second guess Wesley So's decisions right now because it's very difficult to do so when you look at the scoreboard.
When a guy is leading 11
you
half
see where
to
he's
2
at,
and a
but
half, I wouldn't second guess too many
I'm waiting
of his
for a Magnus
decisions,
victory
you
that
know.
makes us think a little bit about this, but
But we also have to think that Magnus has been crowned
Yeah.
many times. He is world champion. He knows how it feels. Wesley doesn't.
right, he wants
So
it.
he
And
wants
now
it.
he's only one game away
He
from a
wants it.
draw that gets him a World Chess Championship title, albeit Fischer Random. So, all right, well, shout out to Wesley for this drawn game. Let's go back and see what's happening between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Fabiano Caruana.
Fair enough. Wow.
What is this?
There's a pawn on e7.
God.
and it's
Somebody's
going
going to win this game.
huge
Bold,
pawn.
bold prediction, maybe.
Can we do?
I was wondering if he can stop the samurai ponytail. He's wondering if he can
Yeah.
put the man bun in check.
It does look like that. No.
And we have an opening f4.
F4.
Okay.
Wesley said, I like what I got with black. Let me
try
try
it
to
again.
do the same thing with white.
I'm happy that we have one more game.
Yep.
Well, again,
Well,
just to
we may
remind
have
the
more
man,
than that.
Yeah, I mean, Wesley is at the cusp.
Wow, D5 by Magnus.
All
I
he
like
needs
it.
is a draw in this game, and he will be world champion. D5,
I like the dynamic challenge to F4.
right?
Trying to create something unbalanced about the structure. Black looking to dominate the light squares in exchange for white's dark squares. creates something to fight for, perhaps.
And I especially like the idea of angling for queen on e8 to a4. You just want to get the queen out of the way,
right,
so that castles on either side is possible. And e4.
Wow, and Magnus took very quickly.
That was a little bit unanticipated, was the move e4 for me. And Magnus quickly developing the knight on f8, looking for a better square. The problem with knight f6, which is ideal, is the bishop on g8 is going to then go to h7. I was just thinking that Magnus might have played h6 instead of knight d7 with the same ideas of going for that diagonal for his bishop, but the world champion played knight d7.
So, BACOOR, what do you think about this approach from Wesley? Very aggressive with e4, more than we saw Magnus do with the first move.
Yeah, I see that he kind of doesn't think that, okay, I need to draw this game. He's just taking it as game by game and move by move. But when it comes to concrete results, he's fine to take draw, of course, as we've seen in the first game. But I must say that I like black's chances. I like knight on f6. I like h6, bishop h7, which might lead into some complicated positions, and it favors black, of course, in this situation.
And there's Jonathan Tisdale boldly stating the obvious in his tweet. Carlsen,
as Grandmaster Jonathan Tisdale would point out.
Yes, or Jan would point out. He must win all three of the remaining fast rapid games because they have 2 points each, and 1 point is good enough for Wesley to clinch. Nepo, in the meanwhile, with a 5-point lead, needs to take 3 from the remaining 10.
Yeah. Tough situation for number 1 and number 2.
This is a nice idea by Magnus, I must say. c6 and bishop c7, looking to play e5 in
he wants e5. I like it.
In one go.
I was wondering whether Wesley will go full kind of dark square Maroczy bind and try to play a move like d4, but instead he plays knight f5.
f5.
Is he just going to try to go win a pawn?
Okay, that's certainly a page out of my book. But he's thinking that e6, knight takes g7, and he can retreat to the h5 square, which is a protected square, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is actually very, very nice whenever you're getting a knight trap, that it has a way home.
Magnus missed that.
And again, he nods. Yeah, he kind of nods his head like, well, maybe you can't. You know, it's funny because the things you always highlight when we look at these positions, what are the weak pawns, right?
And we saw it in the first game that g2 was targeted by Wesley. Remember, he played knight f4 and queen g6 and stuff like that.
So Wesley, sticking with your Fischer Rand, maybe he watched your videos on chess.com and he said,
that's clever.
He has had some good advice there. I should look for some weak pawns.
He's certainly looking for them. I mean, that is an amazing tactic. Again, Fischer Random, you know, a move like bishop c7 looked really good to us, right? We initially looked at that move and said, oh, that's great. You're going to play for b5. I think knight f5 is a surprise.
D5, knight g7, queen f8, knight h5.
Okay, let's have a look.
Let's say a7 is hanging in some positions
now
too.
Again, fortunately, after queen h6, a move you want, I understand you're attacking the pawn on f4 and attacking the knight on h5, but the knight on h5 is protected, right?
I don't believe it
as this one's heating up and going to give us action, let's see what's going on in the Caruana Nepomniachtchi game as well, so we can contrast and compare.
Remember, it was the Bent Larson line. Nobody believes you.
Nobody believes you.
I mean, if you don't believe yourself, I mean, believe in your ideas.
Well, the one on the right looks by the way, the one on the right.
Can we see it on that board for just a second? Oh, you like? Okay, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Peter.
Now we have both games up, but we'll go back. I was going to say the one on the right is still Caruana Nepomniachtchi, and you see that somehow Caruana took a pawn on a7, and then went back and was able to tell the tale about it. So we're gonna look at that a little bit in terms of what happened.
The irony is in that in both games, Black seems to have lost a pawn somehow, but knight b4 it's got a double hit. There's a sacrifice on d3 with a.
I don't like it for Fabi. I don't like it. Knight d3 is, as you point out, is a big threat now.
Okay, king b1.
Knight a2.
King B1?
Rook A.
Yeah, well, Rook A2 means that you might get your hand caught in the cookie jar. Rook A2, Knight to C4 with the idea of maybe Queen takes B4, keeping in mind
by the way,
there's
this
some
knight is
trickies.
pinned.
Yeah, Bishop C4, D takes C4.
You don't like Queen
Queen
take.
B4, Bishop B3. Yeah,
And
at
you
least
could
I
escape.
don't lose anything.
Well done, well done.
No, but even
Well done.
this still looks okay for Fabi, right? Because the knight is undermined and
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe I will take Knight A2 then. So King B1.
Okay, Knight A2. Okay, but that's not so scary. Like
Yeah.
if you go back with the rook, Danny, and play Knight takes A2, the best you can do is reset, reload with Knight back to B4.
D4 is the problem, no?
D4, you can't.
Yeah.
Because you can't deny the pin, right?
yeah, that looks
Looks
pretty good. I just want to show quickly, how did A7 get stolen? It was just right here, I guess, that somehow the center opened up and Fabi said, I'm going to take that guy if you give it to me. So,
Nepo was robbed in broad daylight.
well, let's see what happens. We know he said he was robbed earlier in his match with Wesley So for the first day, but
It was a heist.
I think if we go back to the main marquee matchup, the one that has the World Championship title on the line, the question is, will Magnus feel like he was robbed, that Wesley, like a thief in the night,
Yeah.
stole the loot and got out?
Yeah,
He's
it
just up a
was-
pawn.
It was daylight robbery, no question about that.
No, but as you said, it's Fischer random chess, and so sometimes those patterns, it sounds like, okay, thanks, Captain Obvious, every time we do our thing, and as commentators reset and remind you, take a look at the weak pawns in a position, right?
Right.
And that sounds, and sometimes like a silly point, and doesn't become, a reality on the board. But in this case, you see that the best players in the world are capable of missing patterns that are not every day in classical chess.
Yeah, these unusual double hits,
Yep.
like the pawn on G7, and then we saw Fabiano, perhaps, was it Nepo purposely gambiting his A7 pawn?
Right.
So those are the two weak pawns, and then in the game pairs, we saw both pawns getting.
Right. So the question is, was either one really a gambit or a blunder? Straight up, right?
I just want
Sopakos
to
feels a little
believe-
skeptical.
I want to believe that the match goes on. I have hard
You've been
times.
enjoying
I
commentary.
have hard times to believe it, but okay, maybe we can find some pluses in Magnus's blunder. Because okay, we don't have many problems to develop our pieces
It
now.
wasn't a blunder. It was like a happy mistake.
Happy mistake. I like that.
Well, you saw his nod when it happened. He was like,
Like I'm
well,
allowed
that's a
to
pawn.
make mistakes.
Right.
Joyfully. But okay, Wesley, again, as pragmatic as ever, there was a little bit of disharmony, disarray in his position. He said, okay, Magnus,
I'll give
I'm
you the
willing to
pawn."
give the pawn back. Go ahead and take it
and let's look at
simplify
that.
the
So
position.
let's say Magnus goes into the endgame and gets his pawn back.
And I'll go knight e4,
I
and
was going
I'll
to
be
say,
a little bit.
you don't want this?
First of all, I didn't see that it was possible.
And it-
Let me be
it's
very,
fun,
very
fun.
clear.
Anyways, all right, we'll go with your rook 94.
I was thinking, okay, I'll go knight e4, like the previous game where I had the French and a great knight on d4. Here I have a great knight on e4.
It just looks so good for white. This
And
pawn is
it's just
weak.
sort of
The
like,
dark squares are weak. It just
I'm playing for a draw from a position of
Wesley
strength.
is making everybody else feel like somehow his pieces. It's like how I feel every time I play a grandmaster. Their pieces are always just
On the right
We've seen it.
squares.
better coordinated.
We've seen it.
Yeah. Short
Castle's
castle.
long.
There we go.
Oh, castle short. But it is a long. The
I
king,
love that. I love that move. By
The
the way.
king went
Now,
5
But if you're
squares.
Magnus, you have to be a little happy to see that too. All right, this is your chance for some sort of attack. Notice how fast he pushed g5, and look at the clock. He's not down on time like he
did.
was in game one.
Yeah.
He did, but this looks like no. Like this. Okay, imagine bishop takes b6, like the worst move for white that you could possibly play, right?
Oh
Bishop
God.
takes b6.
You want me to give up my favorite piece? Okay.
Yeah, and knight h5. Like, where's this attack of yours?
That's Sopako to answer. Sopako, 92. Well, how does Magnus make this attack work?
This attack is good.
Okay,
It's
E5,
like-
and if G3, G4.
Aha.
Yay!
Sopako to the
Sopiko.
rescue.
Wow, queen f3 moves to g2.
I just forced you to play G3.
Well,
that
it's
was my
okay,
trick.
But who tricked who? Because
I was going to
you're-
say it. It's,
you-
if you
your
move, I
bishop-
just win a piece.
Oh, wait a
Oh.
second. I'm not going to move. I'm going to
Oh,
you're gonna
sacrifice
sack,
Queen
okay.
D6.
and
Aha.
Played with joy and happiness. Knight
Yeah.
takes f4. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I know.
Sorry, Sopico, it's my fault. I put you
but
in that
he's played
position.
it. He's played it. He's played it. E5 on the board.
Here comes G3.
Here comes G3. We reckon.
I always knew listening to me is not a good idea.
No. In this case, I mean, it's really Magnus's position is not good. His king still needs to castle, so that's one tempo he's got to invest.
Right.
And
This is
he needs something like E4, Knight E5 to really have any chances of making any kingside attack work. You got to play like, I can imagine, well, can I imagine it? G3, Queen F5.
G3 looks good. It really does. And Wesley
Yeah.
has no fear. It doesn't matter of the stakes. Magnus just sacrifices a piece by castling long.
Right.
By the way, I think Magnus just grabbed his rook and put it over. I'm not kidding. I don't know if we can get an instant replay on that. I don't think that FIDE is going to have the goal, if you will, to stop the clock, but I'm pretty sure I just saw the rook hop over the king.
Yeah,
He
probably.
didn't, yeah, because the king is already on its square.
Right?
Right.
Wesley
That's
just playing
just a
very good.
piece.
But again, there's
And
nothing to do in that case because it's the only legal move for the. But technically, you're supposed to touch the king first.
I know.
And again, I'm
any
just
castle, any moves of castles is by FIDE's definition a king move.
right.
So any time you make a king move, you're supposed to touch your king first. So castles requires that you touch your king first. By the way, Wesley took this piece and said, Magnus, I
Has
think
no
you're
fear.
bluffing.
Yeah.
And
The
guess what? I
problem-
think Wesley is right. Sorry.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
problem with this pawn chain, it looks very beautiful,
It
but
is a
you
beautiful
cannot
pawn
move
chain.
it.
Right. Every pawn push is a pawn. You want to just look at it right now.
Yeah.
You want to stay right here.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Like,
This is as
freeze
pretty as it gets.
Yeah.
Pretty picture.
Yeah.
Once you play f3, you give up the
Yeah,
g3
I can
square.
maybe go after the pawn, but even just blockading
Yeah.
is good.
And another knight comes to
Playing
d4.
Right.
G4 hangs the pawn.
Exactly.
So I would love to paint the storyline. This is it. This is the all-in moment. This is the attack. But
But the pawns are frozen.
short of a so blunder, this is it's much more desperation than
Magnus needs miracle now.
Total miracle. I mean, we knew coming in he had put himself in an impossible mission. I mean, what he had to do would have been an epic comeback. Now it's very clear that he needs a miracle. Knight e2 to d4. Idea is simple as
And he does it.
preparing to
Yeah.
play knight f3, preparing to play rook e4. By the way, there's even a queen h3 check in the position.
in
if you
some
need to
random
see.
spot.
5, knight
So-
e6.
Also, if black has
Bail
nothing,
out.
there's a4, a5.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, pile on, why don't you, Danny? Come on. I mean, this is terrible for Magnus.
Yeah.
Okay, and once again, it's been Wesley So show.
Wow.
I mean, he really has stolen this
the
match.
Wesley
I
So
mean,
show. He's
completely.
also won the hearts of
the Norwegian fans.
tens
I
of
mean,
thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Norwegians. And in fact, the lady who came up to me last night, which was just a fun experience for
Right.
literally a fan on the street,
Right.
to come up and ask if I thought Magnus had to come back, what does he need to do? And I was just having a conversation, and she said, but you know, my heartstrings are torn because obviously we love Magnus first, but we really love Wesley now. Like everyone here really likes Wesley, and he's just so sweet. And so she was like, you know, so if somebody had to win besides Magnus,
Then it's
she was happy
she's
it was
okay
Wesley,
with
yeah.
Wesley. I mean, wow. Okay, that's endearing, isn't it? I mean, okay, there is a trick. G4, Wesley, pardon me,
Knight f4,
knight-
knight f3, yeah.
knight b5, knight b5
Okay.
attacking the queen, knight
you're
f3
allowing
check.
knight f3 check here. Wait, is that the right move there by So?
I think it is
Because you can play knight
King
f3, rook
h1.
f3, no?
No.
Queen is hanging.
No, but it's taking
Knight-
the check.
Knight f3, king h1.
Yeah, you have to move the king
Yeah.
because if you take, that's check.
And the point is, you don't want to play king h1 because of queen d5.
97.
But knight,
Okay, so but wait, but still, this seems kind of dangerous.
No,
Can
it's
I
not.
not bring
No,
my
it's
queen
not.
to the h? Oh no,
Knight
knight
e7
e7 as well.
again. Now, if you
Well,
go queen
okay.
d7, then you take on f3,
But
and
this
then
is-
you go check,
that's
and
a
then you
good point,
take
good
it,
point.
and you're just trading pieces. You're just
Well,
trade.
Leave it to our amazing producer. I subtly said I wish we had a replay on that, and because I did draw attention to how Magnus castled,
Let's take a look. if
apparently he
you
went and
got
got it. Let's see the replay and get confirmation.
Okay, now Magnus is
Indeed.
castling.
Yeah.
Indeed,
No
my eyes
touching
did
of the
not
king.
deceive me.
There we go. That should
Look
be
at he even
meme.
made a GIF.
Yeah.
Way to go, Peter. Okay, well, again, so what's the right ruling? Obviously, in spirit, the right ruling is exactly what happened. They did nothing, as they should. But again, they stopped play in the Nepomniachtchi So match when Nepo did the same thing.
Yeah.
Is it because he's the world champion right now, and everyone's like, we don't have? I'm not gonna irritate him and exhaust with this, or has FIDE and the arbiter sort of learned their lesson? Because right now the Fischer random newness of it all is unique enough that what should be the rule? If there's no legal way to
Really,
do it, then move the rook. Then
I think what the world champion should have done in that exact moment was just kind of tip tap his king. You know, like you're the man, and then just put the rook.
okay.
Just touch
A
the
true
king.
professional would have flipped the rook in the air, slid the king, and have it land right in the square.
And won a diamond membership.
And done it just like that. No, okay. All right. Well, it is an interesting little storyline, and replay confirmed. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Now here, Wesley's looking at knight. Well, obviously the queen is hanging. Black's queen is hanging. But Wesley's looking at knight e7 check. Take a rook. Take the knight on f3. Trade, trade, trade. I'm closer and closer and closer to my
I think
coveted
Wesley
draw.
already knows that.
That he's
It's-
got it in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has it in the pocket, and there's no way Magnus can
Come back from
come
this.
back. Yeah.
Magnus is looking at the position and saying, "Where's my cheapos?" He's got that frowny kind of from Wesley looking, and Wesley 7 minutes on the clock, plenty of time.
Taking a look at the other game, just trying to
Again,
soak it in a little bit, I guess.
I mean,
But
what a
his
moment!
mindset is amazing.
It's been, again, you talked about the right mindset. One of the daily questions we had is, what's the most important skill for being a Fischer random player? You
Great Fischer
highlighted
random.
kind of the ability to ride the swings, right? Well,
Right.
maybe the even greater superpower is to not go on any swings.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley So is like this while life is going like this. I mean, he's just
He's flat.
3 meals a day. I get to play chess. What else
And
can a guy
snacks.
need,
He's
right?
very happy.
I mean,
He's very, very happy. By
Yeah.
the way, one of the reasons why he is being endeared embraced by the Norwegian people is that Lotus and Wesley have said that when they're at home, they eat a lot of Norwegian food.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, really? Okay, this is good. He's good.
a lot of
Good
salmon.
Yeah.
a lot of
Lots.
the breakfast at the buffet at the hotel's been great though.
Wonderful.
No, let's not talk about that.
So
I'm
Queen.
getting hungry.
So this is what I think Magnus is like just
Yeah.
frustrated about. Queen E7.
Well, no queen.
Queen D7. Pardon me. Knight E7 check. King B8. Rook takes F3. G takes
and
F3.
then you take the rook.
Then you take the rook. There's also even a Queen E5 check.
And
You
rook
love
A4.
this, but it doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Ah.
Uh-oh.
And if you take the knight back, then Queen takes F3.
And you've run out of time.
And the door is closed shut.
And
I mean,
the
that's
last
it.
shot I might have is something like Queen D5 with
And
threats of F2.
This is
Queen
where
E5.
I thought was the Queen E5 check.
No, but
This
F2?
is
Oh,
Queen
it's
E5
check.
check.
It's check. I'm
Check.
sorry.
Check.
I had this fun line. Like I hoped you would play this,
Puzzle round.
so I could do this and get the queen with check.
Sweet.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Wesley
And
indeed has played knight
Wesley.
E7 check. He's just taking without even
Taking without
questioning.
taking. Yeah.
Oh, he's got knight F6. Oh, he's got Queen E5 check as well. So he's got
Yes.
it all, does Wesley. He could play knight F6.
He can take on F4 now, actually. Rook F4, I want rook
'cause-
A4 mate.
Whoa!
Sweet.
Rook
Spico,
F4,
mate
threatening
in
Rook A4.
one.
That might be it.
Oh,
That might be how the Fischer Random World Chess Championship title is
Is
won with this
decided.
move, Rook F4. Wesley,
Okay. I thought of knight F6 was the tempo.
well, I think right now we're picking between
Which
I
move
like
is
Baskin Robbins. There's
yeah.
31 flavors to win here. I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
in-
knight F6.
Okay, he goes knight
And-
F6. Rook F4 might have been the.
But Rook F4 would have been visual too.
Well,
I
you know what
really
knight
like
F6
that.
does? It actually makes Rook F4 stronger because now you can't even trade queens.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
And
here comes
Magnus
Rook
is
F4 on
giving
the
it
next
up.
move.
Magnus has, I just saw him make a move, and the look he said is Rook F4. I'm going to resign.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Rook
Rook
F4. He
F4,
plays
and I'm
it, and
gonna
I think this
resign.
is about to be it. I think this is the
And
this is the Fischer
America-
Random World Chess Championship
America
title
can rejoice.
being
This is
won for the
world
first time
champion.
ever in
And-
history. Wesley So
Wow, we
is the
have a-
first ever World Fischer Random Chess Champion. He has defied the odds,
And
shocked the world, and come into Norway and taken the
did it
title.
so decisively, Danny Supico. This was an amazing match. If you had told me that Wesley had won this match, coming here, I would say, did he do it in Armageddon?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed he did
Right.
it in such a
Or did he follow his
fashion.
original plan before the match started to put sleeping pills in Magnus's glass? No, but we
Something
just had
worked.
a whole room here. It was a full room watching our
Emptied.
international broadcast, and they all emptied to run upstairs to get the final glimpses
Wow.
of maybe Magnus, but also the first glimpses of our reigning Fischer Random World Chess Champion, who is Wesley So.
And how long will he reign? Will it be a year? Will it be
13
2?
and a half, 2.5.
Yeah.
Who would imagine? Wow.
No, this
This
is where, you know, like
crazy.
you have some kind of a blitz match score like this, and then
Yeah.
you say to your opponent, you know, you played well, thank you. If
Wow.
the guy's like 2.5, I
Yeah.
did what?
Magnus
No, but-
congratulated him when.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
very
Magnus, I
sportive.
think, Magnus has known he hasn't had his best chess, but also Wesley So has had his best chess,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Fantastic.
but either way, this just brought a new rivalry that probably you didn't know existed, given Magnus Carlsen's, frankly, dominance over Wesley in classical.
That's
To
right.
see Wesley So now leading
her in
their,
favor.
I guess this is now their lifetime record in Fischer Random Chess, and it looks pretty good
Yeah.
for the American.
No question
13 and a
about
half,
it.
2.5.
There was a time there, I think it was the 2017 period, when Wesley had the year of Wesley, and he was the #2 player in the world. And we were saying, hey, look, you know, how
Right.
would these guys play up in a world championship match? Fabiano ended up